political figures getting with like very, very young women,
Mm-hmm.
or girls even. Ju- Just what?
Yeah.
It must be some image of youth
Oh, for sure.
there
I mean,
that's doing it.
if you think about it, like I think on Pornhub, like teen is an extremely high category with men, especially middle-aged men. I think, and you find in a lot of relationships, generally, it's the man who's the older one when there's an age difference in couples. And I know myself personally, I tend to be attracted to older men versus younger, and I think that's true
Well,
of a lot of women. It's
I
interesting
think
how
it's a
that
natural
works.
dynamic.
Yeah, what I've
Yeah,
heard is like
well,
men's brains develop like slower than women's or something, where it's like it takes them longer to mature mentally than women, I think. So it's
uh,
like I don't know how true that is. That's just what I've
I
heard.
think that's. I mean, that could explain something, but I feel that's more of an excuse. I feel like with
Mhm.
women, um, you'd be looking for someone that's more like capable as a parent or even just a partner, ignoring the parenthood thing.
Mhm.
If you ignore like the whole natural instincts to find someone who's the most suitable parent or like guardian, whatever the fuck, um, they are capable. Like
Mhm.
they just seem the most appropriate. And then for men, they just want the most attractive to them at that point. Like they want the most I don't know, able-bodied someone with like good attributes. And the younger you get, the closer you get to that, because the older you get, the more shriveled you get, like the more worn down you get.
You
So
say
there's maturity compared to what, again, youth, just beauty. I suppose youth and beauty seem to be combined.
yeah. So do you agree with the
Um,
statement that men age like wine and then women age a little bit different?
not quite. I mean, obviously, we like there's an obvious scene with this attraction to milfs and shit, right? Like
Mhm.
the older women get that they're still like attractive. People
Mhm.
don't stop being attractive. People are attractive or they're not, and it's oftentimes their choice. Not always, but oftentimes it's people's choice if they're attractive or not.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't agree that people become less attractive as they're older.
And a large part of
But
attractiveness is confidence.
yeah, I agree with that. I just think naturally, people tend to have it tend to be looking for certain attributes, and they tend to fit into certain spaces, which may suit older men or younger women.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Younger women.
I'm just trying to set up something here. There we go. We may or may not have secretly started recording.
Ah, yes. Might be a bit
Uh,
late now because we ran out of shit to talk about. Unless we haven't.
no, no.
I don't know.
Could talk for ages. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
I lost my train of thought. Hold on one sec. Yeah, why is MILF such a big subject but not DILF? Like
Dilf.
I saw Reddit post the other day of trending searches on like Pornhub for males versus females, and like DILF was barely on that list. And it's interesting because a lot of the things on women, like women searches, are like very similar to male searches. So they look up the same things, and then near the bottom you see like more women specific stuff. So it's like both look up hold on. Teen, I know was one of the top ones. Let me just pull it
What
up
men
actually.
and women look up teen.
Yeah.
Well, that comes back to the whole youth beauty combination.
Yeah, but I find it interesting because I feel like the difference between like a 20-year-old woman and an 18-year-old boy is like a lot different than a 20-year-old man and an 18-year-old woman. Like both are like I mean obviously there's like an age gap, a life gap, but it's like somehow the
Um,
man seems to be like is going to be more immature than the woman, but that might just be like based on stereotypes.
I mean, I guess if you see an old woman with a young man, you think that they are
Yeah,
they
that's
almost take on like a motherly role to him,
that's true. Yeah.
compared to the other way around, which is more something about domination.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess because dominant women are a lot less common than motherly women. But why does motherliness and like a relationship go hand in hand too? That's interesting. Like,
With dominant women, you see a lot of like masculine features, like
oh yeah,
as if they've got more testosterone in their system
I
than
would
with
not be surprised.
non-dominant women. I almost feel like testosterone is less of a male feature and more of just a natural phenomenon that encapsulates a certain characteristic of a person.
Yeah. You know what could also be the whole teen thing is maybe the otherness aspect of it and the MILF thing. Because I just like looking, I forgot another one of the big searches is ebony, which is, black porn. Um,
I've always found that a
so,
bit
oh yeah, it's weird racial
well strange.
fetishization,
It's
but I think that might have to do with the
or
whole
uncomfortable.
otherness factor, where it's like black is something they're not used to, so it's almost like a mystical creature, the fucking
Curiosity,
porn
yeah,
unicorn,
yeah.
if you will. And I mean, it goes both ways. There's like black people who fetishize white people too. Like there's the term snow bunny, if you've ever heard that.
All right. Um, I mean, I
And
find
yeah,
like I'm sure a portion of that scene can just simply find Ebony attractive. Like there is a natural beauty to that side.
hmm,
Whereas the other side, in the moment, in the heat of it, could just think, oh, this is taboo. This dynamic, so this is the most interesting to me at the time. Like it can go both ways.
yeah, for sure. And lesbian, that's another top one for both men and women.
I mean, being gay in general is fun, so I don't see an issue with that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a both genders will look up like gay things of like the gender they're not a part of. Like women will look up gay porn and like for men on men. Um,
I mean,
and then guys will
I'm
look
sure for
up
some,
lesbian
it's just
shit.
it's like say if you're fully straight, then of course more women or more men is more of what you like. So naturally, like seeing two of them get it on is more entertaining than seeing one of them get it on.
I wonder if that has to do with the taboo too aspect of it. It's like it's something they can't intrude on.
Uh, maybe. I think this time it's more so like the interest in that person, or I don't know that gender, let's say. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like say on my end, if as a man I saw two women compared to one girl, one woman, it's just twice the fun naturally. So maybe it's more interesting in that way.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely see that. And back on the topic, I guess of like dating apps and such. Like, I wonder why what leads people to like 21 and over to turn on like their search for like people I guess like 19 to 18. Cause like when I've turned that on, it's just like there's nothing in common there, and it's just they feel so young. It's just such a large gap. As weird as it is to say, like 21 to 25, I would say is probably a lot closer than 21 to like 18 is. Even though that's like it's just like your life gap really. 18 is fresh out
Mm,
of high school. 21 is like you're a couple years into university, and your brain is already
it's
starting to significantly mature, whereas 18 you're almost on the like end peak, or maybe you've already finished puberty but you still got some leftover hormones probably.
I mean,
Speaking of
in,
hormones,
in that manner, I feel it's not really at that age. I don't know, say 25 looking at 18 compared to 25
oh yeah, no, that's weird.
looking at I don't know, fucking 30. Uh, both sides don't really mean a lot to me. It's both a gap.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, however, maybe like people seem to have their excuses for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what am I trying to say?
Why people like 21 or older would seek out people like 19 or 18 years old, I guess, or 20.
I mean, often enough, I feel like it's not about the age difference. It might just be more about how they feel in that moment, like how they relate to that person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's you're always, you're yeah, sure, you're always gonna find that person that is genuinely like trying to be a little creepy in some way, and like, oh, they find it
Mm-hmm.
more more entertaining to get with someone younger or older. But a lot of the time it's just people that seem to get on more with that age group. Um,
So you think
I
it's
don't
a
think it's anything
it might be a sign of
especially
like more
malicious.
immaturity, I guess.
In general, I don't think it's people being malicious. If they get on with one age group or another, I think it's just them being comfortable.
Oh yeah. I
Um,
mean, I literally have
there is a limit, of course.
I have two 31-year-old friends right now, male friends, and
Yeah.
it wasn't the people I sought out. It was just I happened to get along with them really well. I don't know if I would say I'm very mature as a person, but it's just like on a semi, like on a medium surface level, I guess we get along like pretty damn well. Like maybe the social maturity's there. I don't know. Am I socially mature? Probably not.
Well, see, when I was younger, I always found that I got on with an older group compared to my current group.
Yeah, that's same
But
way.
to be honest, I don't see that as meaning anything.
Mhm.
You can read into it and make it mean something because that's what people tend to do. Not just
Mhm.
people, like humans in general. They like to read into things, find patterns, and give something meaning when it really doesn't need it.
That's very true. I
Um,
overthink things all the time.
oh
Sometimes I
yeah,
create my
I'm
own
very
drama
critical of
by
everything.
accident by thinking
Oh
things
no,
too
yeah, not
much.
just you. Everyone does that. That is a lot of well, social bullshit.
See, I was from my last
Drama is that.
relationship, I was led to believe that that wasn't a normal thing and I was just being immature for overthinking things, but I'm glad to hear that that is a normal thing. I honestly just haven't had enough like IRL friends growing up, I guess, to really debate it. I mean, there's been some things, but it's like the drama was with legitimately toxic people, so it's like it throws off your perspective or at least skews it when you have those experiences.
I've got a certain way that I've come to think of situations and events. Um, However, I don't really know how I can explain it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that.
That's fair. That was a good fucking
I
talk.
I brought us off topic from some point.
That's okay. I'm just getting in depth
What
about.
are we talking about? As
Uh,
before.
I don't
Well,
remember.
I
I'm
remember
getting
we
tired.
started at MILFs, then we ended up at whatever this is.
I like talking about human nature because it's very insightful and it helps me learn more about myself and how others perceive the world. And it's always good to get an outsider's perspective on how you see things because it's very hard to analyze yourself. Especially, I would say, if you're like more neurodivergent, not to like bring like, oh, it's just my ADHD into this, but like, I
Uh,
very much struggle to like analyze my own emotions at times and know
I think
why I'm feeling certain ways.
alienating yourself like in that aspect isn't really useful. Say,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that you're different to other people really makes it more of a struggle to understand human
Mm-hmm.
nature. If you begin to believe that you are similar to everyone else around you, it suddenly becomes a lot clearer why
Mm-hmm.
everyone is acting a certain way,
But it's
which
hard
is
to
why I've
it's
come to
hard to
do.
tell like do they like what is normal, what isn't because you're like obviously learning on a learning scale with disabilities. You're definitely not on the same level as other people. But it's like emotionally, it's really hard to place that because how do you tell what someone's emotions are like compared to yours?
Well,
And I guess it's an individual basis too, because even neurodivergent people can have different scales of how self-aware and stuff they are. I guess in the end,
from
it
what I've come
depends on them.
to learn is that everyone at some point, okay, in someone's entire lifetime, they might not have any similar experiences to me,
Mm-hmm.
but there's always gonna be a handful of people that have experienced the same things as you, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Something to relate on.
yeah, like somehow everyone just seems to go through the same shit. Um, yeah, not everyone is completely alike, but everyone seems to go through the same bullshit in a lifetime,
What is
even if
it?
you don't consider linking experiences such as getting a job or going to school.
Mm-hmm.
If you ignore that, um,
What is it like
people
the
still somehow have the same experiences.
parents being having some shit at home, whether it be like father or mother with issues or divorce or whatever, toxic friend group, toxic ex. At least the top three, I would say, that we have on a human scale to relate on emotionally.
Yeah,
Maybe the drama
I
queen era. Maybe not everybody. I think I skipped
people
most of it.
relate. People relate like that. I feel not just because the experience was even similar, but because we had a similar response to it
Yeah,
as
that's a
people.
good point. Yeah, if you learn that they grew from it and not just like started the cycle anew, then that's very informative on a person's personality and how they react to shit.
If you take it to basic functions, like um, if you get pricked on the finger
Hmm.
by something sharp, as a person, your natural response is going to be that you felt the pain,
Yeah.
um, like ow, right? Uh, so if you just picture that, but instead of pain, you picture a certain thought process, nothing in particular, just the way the mind works, we're
Hmm.
all the fucking same. And suddenly everyone in well, not everyone, like everything just blends together like, oh,
But there are gonna be some
nothing is
people
special
out there,
anymore.
right, that are like,
Yeah.
they prick their finger, they go ow, and then they offer it to their friend and say, "Hey, prick your finger on this, see what happens."
Yeah.
That's perpetuating the cycle, you know.
Yeah. It all just links up. Um, you can't really be too different. You could do different shit. You can do something no one has ever done before. However, people will eventually come to understand that thing because it's what we as people understand because we're all the same fucking thing.
Yeah, we're all out here to try and understand each other. I mean, not always the case, but like in the end, that's how
Yeah,
human relationships form: is you understand each other.
we don't need to understand each other to live. Like animals exist, and they've proven that they don't need to know what
Yeah,
the fuck is going on to exist. But
but like for
we
our,
tend to try and understand, and it's
yeah.
going
I mean,
fine.
it's really hard to compare humans to animals at a like social level because our structures are just so complex and we have so many different like methods of communication and thoughts and emotions going on that go far beyond like anything like you ever see in chimps and bonobos, where it's like our relationships last longer, we're more concerned about each other. There's like way higher standards that you just can't compare to any animal, and that's the really hard part of setting standards for yourself because you don't really have much to compare to. It's even harder if you've grown up around shitty people because you have to kind of figure out your way in the world with no like role model. That's why people should have good role models out there because it's
Funnily
like,
enough, though,
yeah,
yeah, go
if
on.
you don't have someone that tells you, "Hey, what you're doing here is shitty, and you should stop that." I guess that's why there's a lot of people in therapy is partly trying to figure out what's shitty and what's not, and should I put up with this? Should
Yeah.
I keep doing this? It's,
Um.
I mean, obviously there's more reasons than that for therapy, but I'd say like a lot of people, it's like it's a result of like, I don't want to go so far as to say trauma, but like past experience has caused problems in their life, probably making friends and
That I
interacting with people.
well, I used to think that. Well, I kind of still do. I tend to believe that therapy is almost a waste of time just because
Oh yeah.
someone's ability to understand themselves is really just down to their
Oh,
own. Who the hell is this?
I've heard people call
Hey,
therapy
Tracy.
a parasocial relationship before. Well, I would say for
What
like
is that?
the people like where it's like parasitic, or maybe I'm misunderstanding the term, but that's how I interpreted it. Um,
Ah,
where
I don't think anything of it really.
I mean, I've heard it used as a term and that it's a paid friend to listen to you. And I would
Pretty
say there
much.
are many practical uses for a therapist when it comes to like if you need strategies to deal with stuff like depression or trauma and like coping mechanisms because you can't do it yourself or you don't have the energy. But for people who don't have those major issues and they have their own mechanisms for dealing with shit for the most part, it's like I would say yeah, it probably does border on that, and there's probably a lot of people. There's way too many people on ADHD meds, and there's probably way too many people using a therapist who don't really need it, and it's already backlogged enough the whole system.
uh,
Mm, I find that kind of well strange. It's a very obscure topic because how the hell do you define who needs therapy and who doesn't? Like
Mm-hmm.
I would think um
I guess it depends
that
on
personally,
what the role of the
uh,
therapist is in that relationship.
I guess uh I think personally that I say I need some sort of help.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I suppose maybe therapy just isn't that because my image of therapy is that it's a waste of time because all they do is allow me to understand myself better, whereas I'm able to do that myself. I can already make myself understand myself.
I guess.
It's like I'm me, so I can help myself. Like, what's the deal?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just deal with it myself.
I
I'll
think for
help
people who
myself.
use it like that, like to understand themselves, yeah, that's it is probably a waste of time for the most part, and some introspection would be more useful waste of time and money than
Uh-huh.
put in like a person who's like basically a paid friend. But I guess if you take the term therapy almost in terms of like a physical therapist and what they do, then I would say it makes a bit more sense. You could start like putting into perspective where it would be useful in applications. Like a physical therapist, right, is like you sustain some sort of injury or start developing some sort of condition and you need to do exercises and things that will help your body recover and return to normal or at least be able to cope with that. And I guess if you think of the brain as those muscles or your body and the therapy being like strategies to help work through like trauma or, brain injuries, even. I don't know if they use therapy for that, probably in some cases. Then I would say that's where it really starts being beneficial.
I mean, that's it's a pretty good analogy actually because well, physical therapy it makes well it's almost similar to this idea of working out or just that working out.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to work out, say if you want to bulk up your arms, you will focus on your arms.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know that you need to focus on your arms to bulk them up, then how are you going to do that in the first place? Physical therapy does the same thing. It works certain parts of your body to allow them to move properly.
Yeah, that's very
And I
true.
assume, yeah, I assume with the therapy, like general therapy, it's the same thing. Like people don't, so for the people that don't understand what they need to work, uh, therapy just allows them to,
Or how to do it too.
uh, what is it, introspect,
Yeah,
um, and and sort of
uh,
yeah.
work on themselves in that manner.
And most
It
people,
helps them.
yeah.
When it helps them, that's it.
As like most people probably don't need it. Like most people either like, I guess in terms of like going to the gym, most people like don't have that condition or they don't need to go to the gym or they aren't going to the gym, I guess. And it's like they're seeking out a personal trainer when they're not even going to the gym. It's like the fad diets almost.
Well, some people are looking for reasons to motivate themselves,
Mm-hmm.
while other people are looking for actual ways to improve themselves, such as like
Yeah.
they don't. they literally don't know how they can help themselves. So a personal trainer will help them in just that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's a mixed bag. There's some people who it's probably useless for, and they'll have just perpetual problems that they could probably deal with themselves if they just, did a bit of research and actually tried putting those strategies into practice rather than just continuously going back and hearing the same stuff again.
Yeah.
Or there's people who have just figured out their own strategies because they've grown up maybe a little bit tougher, or that they've had good support systems around them to work through it properly. And they don't need any outside help for that.
Maybe it just comes down to character.
Yeah, probably strength of character too. Now, when it comes to trauma, it's a whole other issue. Like, no matter how strong your character is, like, that's a lot for someone to deal with a lot of the time.
Well, you push someone hard enough, they're gonna break eventually.
Of course, yeah.
But how willing they are to come back from that break, from that trauma,
Yeah, that's a
is
good point.
more so up to them.
That's true. Damn, we having deep ass discussions in here. Honestly, I might upload this to YouTube. That was a sick